Narayana. Hari Om and greetings from London. Tapa, that is hardships, come from four sources. These four sources are known as kala, which literally means time. More meaningfully, it's the context that we live in. The second is known as karma, which some can interpret as destiny. It's my actions and my reactions. Number three is known as swabhava, my personality, what has accumulated in regards to my habits, the way I think. And finally, guna. This can also be known as maya or vasana, my blueprint, my propensities. These are four sources of tapa in our lives. Yesterday, a group of high school students and I went to play laser tag. And after the first game, I had asked all of those high school students, were they playing music in that quest, in that area? And a few of us, we all said no, they weren't playing music, including myself. And then a couple of people said they were playing music. And then we did a further analysis and realized that the people who couldn't hear the music, they had higher scores than people who did hear the music. Some of us were so immersed in the game that we didn't even hear music over those 15-minute periods, and others did. I'm sharing this because through our course, we're learning to hold the hand of Bhagwan Rama. And when you hold the hand of Bhagwan, there is no tapa. As long as my hand is not holding God's, I just mentioned four sources of tapa. Everyone is a source of tapa then, correct? But when you hold the hand of God, there is no tapa, because holding the hand of God is tapa. It burns up ego, it burns up the sense of separation. When one is holding the hand of God, the virtue that goes away from our life is forgiveness. We never take offense. We never have to forgive. If we think of our past week, if we think of today, how much of offense we're constantly taking, how much of forgiveness we constantly have to plan for. Holding the hand of Bhagwan. And we really have held Bhagwan's hand for a long time, leading up to today. The prosperity of a nation, the leadership, the people who rule a country, their idea of swasti or well-being is typically shifting the lower class to the middle class. And that's it. You know, if I can help 10 million people go from the lower class to the middle class, then I feel I'm successful, that our nation is prosperous. But it's quite one-dimensional, isn't it? Like a cold is a problem in an undeveloped nation, stress, anxiety, depression is a problem of a developed nation, isn't it? We also have so many of problems despite prosperity. We've been studying Ram Rajya. Ram Rajya is peace first, and where there's peace, there is prosperity. It is not prosperity first. And how thoughtfully Tulsidas Ji shares, in a peaceful nation, the four types of negotiation, Sama, Dana, Danda, Bheda. You don't need Sama or Dana. Not required, because everyone is in sync with each other. Everyone is focusing on understanding. And Danda and Bheda, which means punishment and separation, even those are uplifted, that the only Danda there is people who are sharing or holding that Danda. They're living a life of Dharma. And the only Bheda there is in the arts, in regards to music and cooking. That's such a lovely way of sharing that there's no need for punishment. There's no need for separation. That's only possible where peace is the priority. And I'll read a line to you before we get into our chopais. This is the 25th Doha. Tulsidas says, Soi Satchidananda Ghanakara Nara Charita Udara. That Bhagwan Rama is Satchidananda, but he's acting like a Nara. That his Charita is like a Nara. Udara, he's large-hearted. Why this is important is because Bhagwan Rama is someone who doesn't lack responsibilities. He's not just chilling as God on earth. He's engaged in all that we're doing, and doing in the most peaceful way. I'm on the 25th section of Dohas, the 25th section, and I'm sorry, I already gave you the Doha. What I wanted to read to you was, Sita gave birth to two pretty sons, Lava and Kusha by name. Why I wanted to share that with you, because that's the only mention of Mother Sita and Lava and Kusha. In our viewership of Ramayana, this is given such emphasis, isn't it? Mother Sita giving birth, her sons, everyone's moving around, but there's literally one line. Doi Sutta Sundara Sita Jai Lava Kusa Veda Purana Gai. That the Vedas and Puranas sing of the virtues of Mother Sita's sons. Okay? So this is what we've studied, and now I just referenced the 25th Doha, the second line, where I was sharing that Bhagwan Rama is living very relatably. It's shared, Prata Kala Sarau Kari Majjana. Prata Kala means in the morning. What time does the morning begin? 3 a.m., 4 a.m. Prata Kala, Bhagwan Rama went and bathed. Where did he bathe? In the Sarayu. He left the kingdom to go to that river and bathed and come back. Now imagine how cold it would be, how inconvenient it would be for all of us. You know, we want someone to go warm the shower for us, warm the car for us. We have toilet seat warmers also. But Bhagwan Rama lived in such a simple way, despite being the king. Baitahi Sabha Sangha Dvija Sajjana. And then he went to the courtroom. He had his responsibilities, and he sat with the ministers. He sat with the thinkers. Bhagwan Rama every day would start with satsang before he started with seva. And I've been sharing that in all of our meetings too, correct? You got satsang first, then seva. He used to learn from Rishi Vashishta and others too. And then they would engage in their work. But there was always secret satsang that would be happening. Sri Bharata and Sri Shatrughna would always ask Hanumanji for his help. They would say, you know, we need help in this garden. We need help in this palace. And Hanumanji is so loving and he's strong, so he would say yes. But when they got there, there'd be no work to do. They would just say, tell us what happened in the forest. Tell us about the experiences of Bhagwan Rama. Tell us more of that katha. So everyone thought they were working so hard. but they were just engaged in this most lovely satsang. All of the people in Bhagwan Rama's kingdom, wherever you went, their walls, their sidewalks, their porches, everything was covered in rangoli of Bhagwan Rama's life. How he looks as a king, how he looked as a boy. They always kept him in sight and in mind. All of the kids used to teach their parrots how to chant Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. Shri Ram, Jai Ram, Jai Jai Ram. We teach our parrot, we've called him Vyasa. We also teach him to chant Ram Ram or Brahmarpanam, and he does it, Ram Ram. He says it in a very deep, angry way, Ram Ram. So all of the kids would teach their parrots, and that's also lovely, is that the kids are saying it and the parrots are saying it back. It's such a natural experience. And the ghats where people used to bathe, there used to be an animal ghat, and there used to be a women's only ghat and a men's only ghat. But during Ram Raja, everyone shared all the ghats, including the Shudras, the Vaishyas, the Kshatriyas, the Brahmanas. And that's important to note, is the less peaceful one's kingdom is, the focus is on Bheda, isn't it? You bathe there, I bathe here. I drive here, you drive there. I own this, you own that. But when one is peaceful, there's oneness, there's Advaita. In the marketplace, these are all descriptions of the Ram Rajya. In the marketplace, you could take whatever you want without paying. It's like that convenience store near Amazon in Seattle where you just walk in and take whatever you want. But here, they still charge you on your app with Amazon. But here, what was the use of any money when Lakshmi Devi herself was residing in that kingdom? No. So nobody paid for anything. Why do anything? Everyone did it out of fulfillment. They would cook, they would make, they would sell, they would exchange, but no money was ever asked for. Remember I told you, real recognition of privilege is when you share that privilege so fully that the other person is equally privileged. And that's all happening in Ram Rajya. We continue to the 37th section of Chaupais. And I'm going to read the first line of the third Chaupai. This is what Sri Bharata asks Bhagavan Rama. Santa asanta bheda bilagai pranata pala mohi kahahu bujhai. Sri Bharata says to Bhagavan Rama, please quieten my mind when it comes to knowing the lakshanas, the characteristics of santas, those people who are noble, and asanta, those who are ignoble. Why is Sri Bharata asking this? Is he using this so he can separate people? That person's asanta, that person's santa. He's doing this for himself. He doesn't want to have any asanta thoughts, any asanta words. So sensitive to self-development. No room for weakness, no room for arrogance at all. So Sri Bharata asks Bhagavan Rama, and this is yet another framework that's shared in Bhagavad Gita, in Ramayana, a framework, a system where we can study how we're growing, how to grow. This would be a fine study of your own if you went through Bhagavad Gita, you went through Ramayana, and you highlighted all of the frameworks. All of the frameworks like Lakshmana Gita, Vibhishana Gita, now in this case, the Santa Asanta Lakshanas. Now there's lots and lots and lots of content. I have to be brief about this. Bhagavan Rama tells Sri Bharata and all of those brothers that a Santa, a noble personality, is one like a chandan tree. And a asanta, an ignoble person, is then the axe to that chandan tree. An ignoble person is always trying to cut down someone who's noble, correct? But a chandan tree, that chandan still covers that axe in fragrance, right? There's no rejection of that axe. There's actually an embracing of that axe. At the end of the day, though, that axe gets beaten into shape. It gets sharpened into shape, right? And the chandan is put on Bhagwan's forehead. So the noble are always rewarded for being noble. The ignoble will always be beaten for being ignoble. Swami Tejamayana shares, the simplest way to know the Santa Lakshanas, whatever you want others to be, that is Santa Lakshana. So whatever you want others to be, you want people to be disciplined, you want people to be more understanding, you want people to be more generous, all Santa Lakshanas. So really, we don't even need to study Ramayana. We should just pay attention to our expectations of others. That is Santa Lakshana. Another characteristic of a saint, they're known as Ajata Shatru. Ajata Shatru. When I was studying this, I thought, if we have a boy, this would be another lovely name. A lovely name I know Sheila will have nothing to do with, but I'll keep putting it out there and one seed will manifest. Ajata Shatru means the one who has no enemy. Bhagwan Rama is known as Ajata Shatru. Yudhishthira was also known as Ajata Shatru. And this is such a deep meaning. Only when someone has no inner enemies, they have no outer enemies. So a Santa is someone who has no outer enemies, no inner enemies. And one of the final thoughts that Bhagwan Rama shares with Sri Bharata and all, as long as you recognize duality or dvaita, there will be labeling. Good, bad, like, dislike, hot, cold, correct? We keep studying that. Even here, Sri Bharata is asking for Santa and Asanta. That's more labeling, isn't it? And we have this tendency to get lost in labels. As an example with food, if you studied every ingredient in everything you ate, you would stop eating, isn't it? If you start identifying that this person has this weakness, this person has that strength, that's all you'll do. You'll never develop a relationship with them. So one of Bhagwan's final messages is, rise above Dvaita. You're just going to get tired of labeling. And he specifically highlights people who are ritualistic. They become obsessed. This puja item has to be like this. This flower has to be like this. This person has to eat first. This person has to wear this mala. This person shouldn't be wearing this mala. Correct? One example of that, I was talking to a Devi recently who was told that Devis shouldn't go to the mandir during their menstrual cycle. I think to myself, when I'm physically and mentally in need the most, that's when I should be in the mandir the most, isn't it? But people become obsessed with these labels. Bhagwan's saying, hey, focus on Advaita, on that oneness. He ends this framework by saying, where there's bhakti, that is Ram Rajya. Where there is bhakti, there's Ram Rajya. So who decides if you're living in Ram Rajya or not? You do. There's no room in our Shastras for excuses. There's no room in our Shastras for blaming. We continue. I'm on the 43rd section of Chopais, and I'm going to begin with the first Chopai, the first line, and this is known as Pura Jana Gita. This is another Gita within Ramayana. For those in this center in Niagara Falls, this is what Guruji, Swami Tejamayana, taught at Chinmaya Dhara in 2013. This is Bhagwan Rama's address to the people. His focus is not on prosperity because Sri Devi's with them. His focus is, this is how one will be peaceful. And before I share some highlights from this, let's chant this first line. Eka bara Raghunatha bolai, Guru Dvija, Pura basi saba ai. Once, Bhagwan Rama called Rishi Vashishta, all of the wise people, and when they came, all of the other people came too. This is like the swearing in address in when you have a new president, correct? But there it's always riots. 50% of the people are happy, 50% of the people are unhappy. Here everyone is happy. They're coming naturally. Raja Prithu. And now our Vibha is going to start soon. And at that time, I'm going to remind you of Raja Prithu. Will you remember? You won't. But I will remind you that you forgot when I referenced Raja Prithu. So Raja Prithu is a great, great, great leader of Bharata. And he said every king has three responsibilities. Now, don't think of a king as a male who's part of this royal lineage. Think of yourself as a leader, as a role model. Those three are to provide security. Next is to provide education, and next is to provide employment. Security, education, employment. When I talk about education here, I do not mean only a secular education. This also means a sacred education. So that becomes the Gurukula, no? Do Gurukulas exist in Bharat anymore? Rarely. It's only those visionary organizations that have those Gurukulas, where you get these sacred and secular. When I share employment, I don't just mean professional employment. It also means opportunities to engage in the community. Yesterday, we had a full committee meeting in London, Ontario, and all of the people in the committees, they started calling me Sarpanchaha. I don't really know what that means, but this is what I'm told is, you know, if you lived in a village, you'd all have to be part of the panchayat, correct? You'd have no choice. Now, isn't that what Chinmaya Mission is doing in our respective cities, giving us an opportunity to be part of that panchayat? So anyways, that employment is not just secular. Again, it's opportunities to serve. So here's some insights from Pura Jana Gita. And Swami Tej Ramayana has created a separate text just on this if you want to study this more. He begins by saying, I'm going to share some thoughts with you, and you have a choice to follow or not to follow. There was no sense of dictatorship during Ram Raja. Many people describe Ram Raja as a dictatorship, but this one line shows that it's not. In fact, Bhagwan Rama says, if I'm incorrect, please correct me. He's saying, give me feedback. He's telling people, fill out the survey and tell me how I can be a better king. Bhagwan Rama says that a human, another name for human is sadhana dhamma. Dhamma means abode of sadhana, which means growth or development. Only humans can use sadhana to get to the sadhya. No one else can do that other than humans. And so, when we don't follow mumukshutvam, when we don't encourage the need for freedom, we will never be happy in this lifetime, and we will not be happy in the next lifetime either. In other words, we will not be happy today, and we will not be happy tomorrow. Someone who's not using this opportunity is exchanging nectar for poison. That's what's described. Bhagwan Rama is saying, hey, as a human, you have nectar, that opportunity, but instead you're giving it away and you want poison. Taking in poison is trying to find peace in pleasure. That's poison. Bhagavan says, why do you think you were created with more than sense organs? More than sense organs. If sense organs were all you were created with, then naturally pleasure should be the focus. But you're also created with a mind, with an intellect. Why? That why is to become more inward looking, is to inquire more. Hence we have these equipments. Near the end of Jana Gita, Bhagavan describes the body as a boat. The body is a boat. The guide or guru is the captain. And Bhagavan's grace is the wind. Now you have a boat, which is the body. You have the captain, which is the guide. And you have the wind, which is the grace. Now, when will you need a boat and a captain and wind? When you're stuck. When we're stuck in the middle of the ocean, also known as samsara, we need this. So Bhagavan is sharing that this is the way to be free of being stuck. Don't we all have that? Every one of us has a body. Every one of us has access to the Guru Shishya Parampara. And you may not know this, but every one of us has more grace than we deserve. If we all got what we deserved, we'd be miserable. But Bhagavan is like Sri Ramakrishna. We make 99 mistakes. We do one thing right by accident. And what does Bhagavan, Rama or Sri Ramakrishna focus on? That one right thought, right word, right action we had. Do you know others who have had a chance to study Vedanta and Ramayana for 2.5 years? There's a sharing. A donkey doesn't know the load that it's carrying. Correct? A donkey doesn't know if it's carrying whatever amount of pounds of hay or whatever amount of pounds of water or gold. Correct? A donkey doesn't know that. A human that doesn't have knowledge is like a donkey. A human that doesn't know why they're here, a human that doesn't find meaning, the Vedanta in Ramayana, is a donkey. This is a saying, okay? This is, if you're offended, Vivek never said this. I'm only giving you references to our culture and to our scriptures. That's a very jarring and enlightening statement that if I don't know the Vedanta in Ramayana, then Ramayana is just a load and I don't know it, so I'm just like a donkey. What is the Hindi word for that? Gada, no? We studied Ullu ka patta, now we studied Gada. The point that Swami Tejamayana adds to Jana Gita, he says, following bhakti, remember bhakti is Ramrajya, is easier than following jnana. Because in jnana, your sense organs you have to withdraw. In other words, you have to essentially not use them. But in bhakti, you're working for Bhagavan, so you can use your sense organs for Bhagavan, which is more natural, and it's his responsibility to help. If I'm working for someone and I'm struggling, it's their responsibility to help me. That's why living a life of bhakti is so lovely, because you keep feeling that help from God through his wind, through his guides. And I'll read an insight for all of you. If he who is called a devotee, yet counts upon man, tell me, what faith does he have in me? So we all call ourselves bhaktas, but if we depend on another person or article or circumstance, then what faith does he have in me? What faith do we have in Bhagwan? Whenever we have stress, whenever we have worry, that is an overt sign of our lack of faith in Bhagwan. And this Pura Jana Gita is completed with the 46th doha. I'm specifying this so you know what you can further study. And here Bhagwan makes a mistake. He says, Mama guna grama nama rata gata. Mama guna grama nama. In other words, my nama rupa gunadhama. He's saying mama. Who's mama here? This is the first time that Bhagwan Rama, who is acting in his Nara Leela, shares that he is not a Nara, but he is Bhagwan. First time. Near the end of Ramayana, he is sharing here that he is not Nara, he is Bhagwan. Very powerful. And this now takes us to the last chopai that we will study of Ramayana. I'm on the 50th section of chopais, and this is the third chopai, the first line. Harana sakala shrama prabhu shrama pai, which means that Lord who makes those who are tired feel restful, those who are burning cool, that Lord is now tired. Please visualize this, that same God who's been helping us with our first breath, he's feeling tired now. Gaye jahan sitala avarai. And so he goes to a shaded area and he sits there. Sri Bharata puts out a cloth. The brothers are all over there. And that is actually the end of Ramayana. This is known as Leela Samvarana. Leela Samvarana means the wrapping up, the closure of the Leela. This is how Ramayana is completed. There's no happily ever after, there's no fight, there's no death. In such a subtle way, Goswamiji says, that Bhagwan is now tired. So he goes into a shaded area and his brothers put out this cloth and he sits. Shortly after, there's a small portion where almost like the credits come up, where Narada Muni, who's traveling throughout the multiverse, he comes to Bhagwan Rama and he starts to glorify him, not as Bhagwan Rama, but as Bhagwan Vishnu. Glorifies him as Bhagwan Vishnu. And that is where the katha of Ramayana ends. Syavara Ramachandra ki jai. Now I can tell by your deeply dissatisfied faces. What happened to Mother Sita? What happened to Lava and Kusha? So the right thing for me to do is just to ignore your deeply dissatisfied faces and sign off. But I shall share some insights with all of you. These insights are not from Tulsidas-ji's Ramayana. Remember, I read that one line. Mother Sita gave birth to these sons who are great. Period. That's it. But we've all heard in a very broken way other happenings, so I'll share with you. Specifically from Valmiki-ji's Ramayana. Bhagwan Rama was, is, will be the best ruler. He had Gupta charas. Gupta charas means spies, but that itself connotates some negativity. He had friends. And he had friends who went and asked their friends how everything is going. Like if you really care for someone and you don't see them often, you say, tell me how this person is doing. I'm thinking about them, right? So one of his friends' names is Bhadra. This is the spy. This is the messenger who heard not just one couple, but many, many, many people talking about Mother Sita living with Ravana. And that itself is inaccurate because Ravana lived in the palace. Where did Mother Sita live? She lived in the garden. They never lived together. They lived in the same country. We all live in the same country. But it's not the same as living together, correct? I live with Vyasa. I live with Shila. We all live in the same city right now. That's totally different. So there's many who are sharing this, not just one. The Praja is talking about this. And we often think about Bhagwan Rama's responsibilities. He's the Raja. Who is Mother Sita then? The Rani. She, as if, has equal responsibilities as the Raja, no? If Michelle Obama is rogue, then that affects President Obama, correct? They go together. And if people are doubting the Rani, by extrapolation, they're also going to doubt the Raja, isn't it? True? They're going to do that. Please put yourself in that position. Don't be what we call as the devil's advocate. Don't make this hypothetical. Put yourself in that position. If you doubt the president's wife, aren't you going to doubt the president? And not even of the country. Think about just your city. Think about an organization. So that doubt is there. And remember, doubt is anti-discipline. Doubt is anti-discipline. If I doubt that cigarettes can damage my health, what do? I smoke. But if I'm clear that cigarettes will damage my health, I'm disciplined about not smoking. Yes? I was speaking at a bank recently and we had a good laugh over this. People were going through their minute to mind management. Many of us did that in the happiness series, etc. So people are analyzing what they're doing every week. And one person analyzed that he smokes 7 hours a week. 7 hours a week he's smoking. That's how much I groom is 7 hours. And he's, as in helping my health, and he was smoking that much. And I felt so appreciative because he smiled and then he felt sad. And it really made me realize that all of that effort to go there, if that one person is going to smoke less or stop smoking, all of that is worth it then, isn't it? So coming back to, if you doubt the Rani, you doubt the Raja. If there's doubt, that is anti-discipline, which cannot work anywhere, leave alone a kingdom. Mother Sita loved living in the forest. She loved it, right? She was there for 14 years. And then she came back to the city, and she and Bhagwan Rama would often remember their time in the jungle. For all of the people who have lived in a small city, then you go to a busy city, isn't it you think about, remember those small cities when there was less traffic, less property tax, everybody knew everybody? Yeah? So she often described to Bhagwan Rama, when we retire, we should go to the jungle. We should go. And Bhagwan Rama also knew she was pregnant. And as part of our samskaras, where is a child to be born? In an ashram. In a ashram. So Bhagwan Rama told Sri Lakshmana that I'm going to ask you to do work for me, but you cannot question me. You simply have to do what I'm telling you. And right away, Sri Lakshmana knew that this was going to be intense. but he is the ideal shishya to the Guru, and he did. And he lovingly escorted Mother Sita to near Sri Valmikiji's ashram. And if you think about this, this is what she wanted. She wanted to be in the jungle. This is what had to happen. The babies needed to be born in the ashram. And she went into Valmikiji's ashram. Lava and Kusha were born there. They learned everything about their father, everything about God. Mother Sita told Sri Lakshmana, when you go back to Ayodhya, your brother will be depressed. Tell him to not think about the person, but to think about the people. What a lovely teaching from the Rani to the Raja. Don't think of the person, think of the people. Bhagwan Rama has to set a precedent, not for his generation, but for all generations. Rama is a person, grander than the person is the Raja, isn't it? And this is exactly how Ramayana began. Dasharatha, as the father, said, stay. Raja Dasharatha said, go. Who does he have to follow? Whose precedent does he need to upkeep? Which is the bigger picture, maximum happiness? Correct? Same is happening again. And it's not easy. Just like sadhana is not easy, we have to extract and then you have to follow. As hard as it is. Bhagwan Rama his wife was already kidnapped for so much of time, and now he's not with her, not with his kids, for the praja. And it's tough for us because we're too attached to our families. Too attached. We should be living for community, society, humanity. And Bhagwan Rama is setting up that precedent. So I wanted to share all of those thoughts with you in this 7th canto. Remember, many cantos focus on certain dharmas. In the 6th kanda, Lanka Kanda, we learn about Shatru Dharma. What it means to be a warrior. And in this kanda, we learn Raja Dharma, what it means to be a leader. Many, many, many times it is our family that will not understand us, that will hold us back, and you obviously shouldn't neglect them or lash back. But you have to have all of the qualities Vibhishana described in Vibhishana Gita to endure that. When you live a public life, your family life is included in that, not the other way around. Do you remember how the Ram Katha began? It began with Mother Parvati asking Bhagwan Shiva 3 questions. One of the questions was, Bhagwan Shiva, remember this is Mother Parvati, she's no longer Devi Sati. And to ensure that she's not Devi Sati, she asks Bhagwan Shiva, tell me, this Bhagwan Rama, is this Brahman? Question number 1. Question number 2 was, is this Saguna Brahman who is a manifestation of Nirguna Brahman? So a very similar question, okay? Just said differently. And the third question she asks is, what are the purposes of that Brahman coming as Bhagwan, who is from Nirguna to Saguna? What is the purpose of the avatars? Why is Bhagwan Rama here? She asks. And after Bhagwan Shiva narrates for 2.5 years, their dialogue also went on for 2.5 years, narrates, she says, I'm no longer ignorant. I no longer have these questions. What was unknown is now known to me. And there's so much of closure in our Shastras because Prince Arjuna says the same, doesn't he? In the next yuga. Nashta moha. I'm not confused anymore. Goswamiji writes, this is the end of the katha, okay? This is, like in the Marvel movies, after the credits have those secret scenes. This is like one of those secret scenes. He says, this sacred story enables one to reach the abode of Sri Hari. Whoever hears it is blessed with unceasing devotion. That one statement will be the filter of whether Vedanta and Ramayana has been real or relatively real or unreal for us. Karma cannot end karma. In other words, using articles, beings, and circumstances to find that which is beyond articles and beings and circumstances is not possible. This is almost like trying to remove dirt with dirt. Imagine ignorance is my challenge. Unknown, correct? Mother Parvati or Devi Sati. And I have all of this mala on me, so I take more mala to try to remove it. What happens? It's just a transaction of mala, of dirt. Shared differently, tapa, japa, pranayama, asana, all of these are known as soaps. Can you remove dirt with soap? You can, but you finally have to have water. You finally have to have water. You sometimes take a shower without soap, correct? If things are really bad, you use a toothbrush without toothpaste. If things are really bad, you wash your clothes without detergent, correct? But you can't use toothpaste without water. You have your own saliva, count that as water. Vedanta and Ramayana is water. Only water can clean our ignorance. This is the completion of Vedanta and Ramayana. There's a whole nother section within Tulsidasji's Ramayana, and only Tulsidasji's Ramayana, which is a focus on the dialogue between Rishi Bhushundi and Garuda. And I'm not going to be sharing that in this course, in Vedanta and Ramayana. I've described the katha's ended. I went back to the beginning of the katha to make sure all of the dots are connected. Before we begin Vibha, I'm going to share the dialogue between Rishi Bhushundi and Garudaji, because this will be the perfect lead way into Bhagavatam. So stay tuned for that. It really is an endless chain, because we need this endless chain to get out of this endless sorrow, endless samsara, sanatana. Oh. Narayana.